I'm Andrew.
And I'm Joe. Welcome to Joe and Andrew's Education Adventures.
We are here with Maria Schmidt, one of the science teachers at Paloma Valley High. So we thought we'd first just tell us who you are, like what you teach, a little bit about your educational background.
So I started out being a hairstylist for 12 years.
Cool.
And decided that got kind of boring. So I went back to school as a single mom.
Okay.
And I started MSJC right here in Menifee and went there for 2 years and majored in biology, went to Cal State San Bernardino, and right afterwards started my credential program and master's degree in education. And I teach AP Environmental Science, Biomedical Science, and Biology.
She's got my freshman son in her class right now, so we're
I
excited
do.
to have that going on.
Really?
Yeah.
But I love me and Ellett, so that's good.
Right?
That's awesome. So why science? Like if you're in, you're doing hairstyling, what made you jump into science? I mean, you could have taught anything, I would imagine.
I was not an academic kid at all. I was there for the social life in high school. And my sister was the genius. So she was always like, she's 2 years younger than me, but was always in a higher math class than I was. So I was kind of the dumb one, you know, not that I was dumb, but that's what it felt like as a kid. So right. I didn't really ever think I was good at school, even though I got fairly decent grades. I wasn't like her. And so when I went to college, I actually wanted to be an elementary school teacher because I thought it would be nice to have the same schedule as my children and I'd have the same time off. And then I volunteered a little bit and decided that I really like my children in elementary school, but not so much other people's.
Right. That makes sense.
They were very whiny. It was very difficult. And so the biology club professor, I had Dr. Roy Mason teaches at MSJC. I remember he came up to me and he goes, "Why don't you want to major in biology?" And I was like, "I can't major in biology." And he goes, "Yes, you can." He goes, "You know everything in this class. You're fine." And that was kind of the first time that I thought, oh, maybe I'm good at this. And I realized I was really good at science and it was very easy for me and I enjoyed it. So I thought I should probably major in that. And so
and I think that's cool just to think like that one professor, just by asking you that one question, like really helped change or set the course of the next however many years you've been doing this about.
This is my 13th year.
Okay, right on.
And we're glad you're at Paloma teaching science.
Heck yes.
I love being here.
Speaking of science, what's your favorite thing about the science department at Paloma?
Oh, they're funny. So there's a lot of sarcasm that goes on here. I probably shouldn't say this out loud, but our PLCs are not that productive because of the things that happen in our meetings. But it's quite entertaining. You always laugh.
So a couple other fun questions about just to get to know you, Maria. What is something? It's 2020, right? Yeah. And that just has a nice ring to it. At least that's what I thought at the beginning of this year, and then everything else happened. But what is something that you thought we'd have by now that we don't?
Flying vehicles, like hover cars,
right?
Like the Jetsons. I'm sure nobody knows what the Jetsons are, but I thought we'd have vehicles that could go, just go vertical.
Sure.
Yeah, we don't even have hoverboards yet.
Right.
Right. I mean, we don't even have that. So we got a ways to go before we get a whole car up there.
Yeah.
So you've been a hairstylist. You're now a science teacher. If you weren't a teacher, what would you do?
Farmer. I love gardening. I love animals. That would be absolutely, I mean, I have kind of a little farm already, but I could do that every single day. No problem.
Right on. Well, so tell us a little bit about that farm, because I've seen pictures of your above ground garden beds that you built this summer. So how's that going?
I live way out past wine country, so there are all sorts of critters. So when I first moved there, I thought, well, I'll plant stuff that smells like basil, so things won't eat it. And it would get eaten overnight down to the ground, nothing left.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Because we have rabbits, squirrels, birds, all sorts of birds out there. And so the above ground garden that we made, we have like wire mesh on the bottom. I have raised beds waist high so that when I'm 80 years old, I can still like garden. I don't have to bend over. And it is fully enclosed in wire mesh so that nothing can get at my stuff anymore.
Right.
Right on.
That's
Very
cool. Well, I would imagine that's a good place to escape during this crazy time. And that's kind of what we wanted to talk about today, is like just how we feel starting the 2020-2021 school year. It's the most unusual beginning to a school year in my career. I would imagine just about every teacher. What's something that you're kind of excited about? Let's start positive. Like, as you look at the beginning of the year, what are you excited about?
I'm really excited about trying to make connections with my students. Like, the relationships with my students are really, really important to me. And it's the part that I like the most. Above everything else, like that is the part that like makes me, if I have to spend more time with people other than my family, like I better enjoy my time with them. And so I was very disappointed in the distance learning that I put forth in the spring and that most of the students experienced. And it was like gone. It was like poof. And it was, there was no closure. There was no, like, it was horrible. And so I think like making it new, making it different, and making it better than it was is really exciting. Like it's a new thing.
Right.
I think it's going to change education forever. I don't think don't get me wrong. I pray and hope to go back to the regular in person. But I think it's creating an option for students in the future in public education that maybe hasn't been there before.
Sure. Yeah, I'm probably have a different answer every day on what I'm excited about. Not that I'm excited about everything. It's just like, it's like more like the thing I'm excited about switches to something I'm frustrated about, or like I thought this would be good. But I think right now, if you ask me today, it is good, I think, for me to be challenged and to try and do a lot of new things and learn this out. Like, I mean, if us teachers are learners at our core, I'm really being pushed to be a learner again right now. And so that's, I think, for my own personal enrichment, I feel excited about that. I might change my mind tomorrow.
I know for me, kind of along the same lines, all the things we're learning, but also like this week, how much just collaboration there's been with the other teachers to like help each other out and walk each other through things. And it's been really cool too to see some of the newer teachers get to step up and really take some leadership in our math department this week, because they are more on this stuff. So that's been really cool to see. And it's changing up some of those dynamics. Because I mean, I know that like the science department's super like sarcastic and funny. And I know a lot of you guys over there. And I experience that when I hang out with them too. And we all kind of have our quirks in our departments, but it's cool to kind of have to get broken up. Like our normal routine can't be the thing this year. So it's been cool this week. I've been excited about that, and made me hopeful.
Along those lines, I liked what someone said, how like everybody's been flattened. Like the 20-year experienced teacher and the rookie teacher are on the same level right now.
Yeah.
Cool. So let's get to the other. Like, what are we most nervous about, frustrated about starting this year? Like, let's get it out there.
I can read people really well. And when I have students in my class, I can see that student that like across their face, they're just freaking out. And it's like, and you have the opportunity to, after you give that general instruction, everything, to go over them and be like, do you get this? And it's like, and they're like, no. Or that kid that sits there and just stares at their paper. When you're in class, you can see that. And I'm really worried about those kids just being off camera and not like, I don't know. I don't know to go over there and check on them. And I have these awesome teachers that I have like a Facebook thread with, Jen West being one of them. And then Lane Heine, and they constantly put new things we can use up there. And I finally told them, I'm out of the, like, I got to turn it off, because I keep changing everything I'm doing. And I don't even know what I'm doing anymore. Like I have to like stop and just be me. And like, wait until I start, and then I can maybe enter some of those into my brain.
I'm the same way.
Yeah.
So that leads me to the last question I want to kind of talk about is how different, obviously it's different, but like if you could kind of describe or somehow encapsulate, that's probably not even a word I just made up because my brain's fried too, but how would you describe the difference in your preparation for this year? Like, I could imagine some of our colleagues are like just shut down, like, I'm not even going to try right now. Just figure out as I go. Others are like way over preparing. I probably fall in that category sometimes. But like, how different is your preparation, or is there a lot of it the same?
No, I think it's because normally during the summer, because I always work in the summer at some point, but normally during the summer I focus on content. So it's how am I going to teach this content, and this time it's been like focusing on how I'm like not how I'm teaching the content's out the door. Like I'm not, that is like, that's coming next week. But right now it's just like, how do I build those relationships? How do I get everything organized online, make it easy? Because sometimes, what I put up there, I think seems perfectly simple the way I explained it. And then someone's like, that, I don't know what to do. It's like,
right.
So I think it's been focusing more on like, how am I going to do this versus like the content of the class.
Okay. I think I can see that.
Yeah. Well, I like normally in the math class, like a lot of the math teachers will want to start doing math, like sometimes even the first day. And right, I know. And you're like, well, let's just slow down. Like for me, I'm like, let's slow down. Let's get to know our kids. Spend a couple of days doing that sort of thing, maybe introduce them to something. But anyway, this year, everybody's pretty much planning to spend the first week more or less getting to know their students and figuring this out. And so if we're doing math, it's like, how to add and subtract kind of a week, which has been like cool and different. Like, but everybody really is recognizing like, I have to adjust the way that I introduce myself to my classes and the amount of time we take to like learn the procedures, and the one thing for me, one of the very bit different things is there's so much less you can do on the fly.
Yes.
It's like I was telling my wife, there's always so much to do at the beginning of the school year, and it never feels like you have enough time to get ready. But once you've taught for a few years, you're like, wherever I get on the first day, like I have tricks that I can get through the first day. I can, introduce myself. We can do these different games or whatever. And if it doesn't work, I can change it. But like right now, I'm like, I have to kind of think through every single minute of that first week, because if it doesn't work, I'm just going to be dead air. I'll be like, hey, I guess I'll try again tomorrow. Bye, guys. And, that doesn't seem the right opener.
Right. So in some ways, what's nice is you don't have, if you excuse them a little early, it's not like you get in trouble when you would like send them out of the classroom before the bell rang. You know what I mean? Like, well, guys, yeah, exactly. That whole role we have as teachers, a bit of being babysitters. I don't mean to insult anyone by saying that, but there is that, we kind of hold them for a certain amount of time. Yeah. That's gone. So that's kind of, I guess, a little freeing, but on the other hand, I totally get, like Joe, I was taking forever this morning my first day activity had to be totally different than I normally do. And I had to design, I think that's the thing. I'm spending so much more time on design when I would wing it in the classroom. Like, I don't care how it looks that much because the kids will make it look good. I can slap it on the wall. Like, I let them kind of, make it be fine. And it's like, oh man, I can't do that. I think that's interesting. All of us are less content and more on how the delivery goes and stuff like that. Yeah. Which is interesting to see that dynamic come out.
Well, and I joke, I never sit like, I always tell my husband I'm a dog and pony show every day. Like I don't sit in the class. Like whenever, like I remember when I first started teaching and the principal at the time was like, you should never be sitting behind your desk. I'm like, who sits behind their desk? I never have time to. And so having that, like where I'm not feeling like trying to make it where I don't have to feel like I have to like take up, like you said, like that whole time and like keep them occupied, and it'll be different.
So Maria, one last question. what's something you're reading, watching, or listening to that you would recommend, or you just find inspirational right now? Something that you are entertaining?
I have two. One's my Bible. I read that every morning, and that's kind of my encouragement and everything that I need. And the other one is I'm reading a book by Rachel Carlson, who was an environmental conservatist, and she I'm very into the environment, and so and I just find her fascinating in the way she wrote. Like, the book was published in 1951.
Oh wow!
And it's called it's not Under the Sea. It's oh my goodness, it has a sea. All about the sea. All by the sea, all about the sea. But it's all about marine biology and everything, and she goes into it. And I find it so fascinating because women were not in science at that time.
Right.
And so she not only had to be like a scientist in a mostly male-dominated society, but she was this amazing writer that is easy to read, and it's interesting, and it teaches you about everything. And she basically started our, environmental protection agency, because of her thought, and that was back in the 60s, and so I just find her fascinating. So
that's
cool. Awesome. Yeah, I just did a quick little search. It's The Sea Around Us.
The Sea Around Us. Thank you. I'm like,
yeah, you got it.
So I know I have the sea in it.
That's cool though. I mean, that's a book that's set like 70-ish years old.
Yeah.
And it still like speaks to now.
Totally applicable. Like, it goes into like, how the mountains and canyons are formed in the ocean and how our pesticides are going to the ocean. It's just so funny because I didn't hear anything about pesticides growing up. Like nothing. Right. and that was in the 80s and 90s. So it's like, how did 30 years pass and nobody like talked about it?
Yeah.
It's, and now it's a lot more prevalent now in our news and everything.
Sure.
Yeah.
Now, on a side note, anecdotally, obviously we don't have the data, and talking to a science teacher, I get nervous about that. But would you say that that the female students at our school feel more comfortable entering into science, as opposed to what Rachel Carlson faced, 70 years ago? Do you think it's improved? Like, do you see a lot of improvement there? Like, what do you think?
My biomedical science class is always at least 80% female.
That's great.
Okay.
Like, if not, like, because that's my selling point to the male freshmen. So whenever we have like our 8th grade VIP night, I'm like, it's all girls.
Nice. Now, do any of you have them write you back and say that they're facing obstacles when they hit college or career? Like, those are the ones that, or they seem like it's going well?
I think now it's totally acceptable, and I don't think they face that at all. And so it's one of the reasons why her writing is so interesting, because she was able to make all these amazing things happen. And she was considered kind of like a lowly person,
exactly.
in the field. So it was, but no, I think now, the female students in particular have gotten very strong in science. And
good.
Maybe the physics is a little bit more male dominated still. I can see where, like, I know those classes tend to have a little bit more of the males in it than the females. But in the life sciences, I see a lot of females.
Good. Any other questions you got, Joe?
No, it's good. It was great talking to you, Maria.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for
guest
having me.
number one. So.
I know. Woo-hoo.
That's pretty exciting. Well, everybody, on this crazy adventure.
Hey, let's keep learning.